and welcome to Love You a Brunch. I apologize for not making a video in so long. Like I said in one of the comments, life happened. I had some health issues, and you know, with 4 kids, things just get really busy. So I didn't realize I'd get so many subscribers, but I am really appreciative. And here I am, I'm back, and I will continue to go on with it. Also, in the last couple years, I made a book with all of the recipes in it that use a cake mix to make it just like a bakery cake. So we have Sweet Treats Book of Cupcakes, over 40 bakery recipes you can make at home with a mix. The one good thing about this is they don't just have to be cupcakes. Cupcakes went through a trend for a while, and that's mainly what my bakery sold. So I did make cupcakes, plus I do love having a cupcake with the filling and the icing all on top in one bite, so that's really my favorite way to eat cake. But it's a great book. It has some great tips and some great pictures. It's hard to see in this video, but you can see it also gives you some tips in the very beginning, if I can get to the right page, on what ingredients I use, how to use the ingredients, the different techniques you can use, and then it has all different flavors, all different combinations. And a really good thing about it as well is if you like the cake flavor of one and you think it would be good with the filling of another, you can just swap it out and have probably even more type of recipes out of this cookbook than 40. So today I am going to make one of my favorite fall cupcakes. It does take a little bit of work on the stove for the filling, but it is worth it. So let's see here. The recipe that we're going to work on today is a caramel apple cupcake. So what we do here, of course, is we have our cake mix. Now, the book is separated with different flavors. So you have your chocolate cake mixes, your vanilla cake mixes, your butter cake mixes, and things like that, white and yellow and so forth. So this one is a butter cake mix, and you do not have to use a name brand. You can use a generic, I really like to use the Aldi store brand, but I just happen to have this one in my cupboards. And like I said, with 4 kids, I don't often get to the grocery store. So we have our butter cake mix. We put in our instant vanilla pudding. Now this adds the moistness to the cake and just gives it that extra little flavor. If you are using a chocolate cake with a chocolate base, you get the chocolate instant. It's also a good way to add flavor. So if you wanted to use a lemon cake mix and a lemon pudding, or even a white cake mix with a pistachio pudding, it's just a really great way to add some flavor to it. Okay, then we're going to put 1 cup of flour, all-purpose, and 1 1/3 cups of sugar. So those are our dry ingredients. Oh, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And if you drop some on the table, make sure you throw it over your shoulder for luck. Okay, so now, you know, usually when you do a recipe, you're going to stir all of your dry ingredients together. But as I said in my last video, I usually don't even do that. I just throw everything together. Because the cake mix is in there, it has all of the right ingredients, and with the chemicals that are created with using all the ingredients, not the chemicals, but you know what I mean, the chemistry of it, throwing them all in together works. Now, if you're going to make a cake from scratch, you don't want to do this. You want to follow the directions precisely so that everything gets in properly. But cake mixes fix that for you. Okay, so the next part you want to do is you want to have your eggs. Now, I know in my last video I had beautiful colored eggs, and I still have my chickens, but they are about 8 or 9 years old now, and they are not laying regularly. I really thought I had some brown eggs and some blue eggs in my fridge. They were all gone. I went to my coop this morning and still no eggs. So, but you know what? There are pets. Their names are Mrs. Pickles, Kimmy, and Angelina, and you know what? They are just out there living their lives, and maybe one of these days we'll get another egg. Otherwise, store-bought eggs work just fine. But you want to make sure that they are room temperature before you use them. All of your ingredients should be room temperature. It, again, helps with the chemistry of baking, okay? It's really a science experiment. Okay, so I'm going to put my eggs inside. Now I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons of oil, the vegetable oil. Okay, and then with this cake I use an almond extract and a vanilla extract. So this is a teaspoon of vanilla and a teaspoon of almond. Okay, and of course my 1 cup of sour cream. And my 1 1/3 cups water. Okay, so at this point I'm going to put it on my mixer and do it with the magic of video, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so we are back and the cupcake mix is all mixed. This mix is going to make about 28 cupcakes, sometimes a little more, depends on how full you make your cupcakes. Make sure your oven is preheated to 350, and then you're going to want to start filling your cupcake pan, which has liners in already, and you're going to want to fill them 1/2 to 3/4 way full. Now, obviously, you don't have to use a liquid pourer like this one. There are many ways to do it. You could spoon them in. I'm a mess. I really should name this the Messy Baker. Because I really am a messy person. So I think it comes with the creativity. Some of us that are really creative tend to be a little bit more, should I say, out there and messy. So you're going to fill this up all the way around on every one. And if you have 2 pans, even better. I'm going to put that here. And since I can't eat sugar, I can't put that in my mouth, otherwise I would. So once you get it all filled out, you want to kind of tap it a little bit on the table so that the air bubbles get out. And then you're going to put it in your oven. And as I said before, I don't actually time, but of course, my recipe tells you to time it. So 15 to 20 minutes. I usually just wait till the smell of cake goes around my house, and then I will go and make sure that the cupcake is springy by touching the top, or I'll get a spaghetti noodle and put it in the middle of like one of the cupcakes, maybe one towards the middle, and that way if there's cake on the spaghetti, you know that it's not done yet and has to go in for a few more minutes. So hold on with me and we will show you how to do the filling. Okay, so we're ready to make the filling. While the cupcakes are baking, you're going to make sure that you slice your apples or cut your apples. Make them small enough that you can put them inside of a cupcake. So we are going to put 2 cups of cut up apples in a pan. Also, it really depends on what apples that you pick. I really like to pick a bunch of apples that are different with tangy sweetness, but make sure you get baking apples. When you're in the grocery store, on the sign, it will say good baking apple. Make sure you get good baking apples for this. So for me today, it was about 4 or 5 apples, but mine were relatively small. They were small apples. So you're gonna put 2 cups of chopped up apples. You're going to add a 1/2 cup of water. I apologize, I had to keep reading my recipe. Since my health issue, my brain is not as on task as it used to be, so I apologize. A 1/4 cup of brown sugar. My favorite sugar, brown sugar to use is the dark brown sugar. Now you can use the light brown sugar, it's fine. I like the tanginess of the darker brown sugar. It has more of the molasses to it, and to me that makes the flavor better. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. Okay, so you're gonna stir this all up. You're going to put it on the stove and get it to a boil. Turn it down and keep stirring it until it thickens, okay? Now, if you don't want to make the apple pie filling, you don't have to. You could just buy a can of apple pie filling at the store. It all works, okay? Just anything to make it easier. Now, when your apple pie filling, you can see it's still very steamy, but when it gets to the consistency that you like, and I'm telling you, this smells so amazing. To me, this smells like fall. You're gonna let it cool down. And then you're going to take a tablespoon of sundae caramel, and you're going to put it inside the apples and stir it around. Now, this is what adds that caramel to the caramel apple cupcakes, okay? If you want to make your own caramel, go right ahead. There are also recipes in the book to make your own caramel, so you can do that as well. But for this purpose and for today, I'm going to do it as easy as possible. So I am going to use caramel sundae syrup and put a tablespoon inside the apples, stir it up, and you've got caramel apple pie filling, okay? So stick around. Once that is all cool, I will show you how to fill the cupcakes and make the frosting. Okay, so the cupcakes are done. They're still very hot. You can see that it springs back up when I touch it. You can also see that when I put a wooden dowel or a piece of spaghetti in, that it comes out clean. And the edges are getting a little bit browned. So you know that it is done and ready to cool. I like to keep them cooling in the pan. Do not try to take them out yet. First of all, you'll burn yourself. Secondly, they need to bake a little bit more, and not only that, but it will make it a lot easier to get it out without squishing the cupcakes. So keeping their form, keep them in the pan to cool down. Okay, so you're going to have some leftover peelings, you're gonna have some cores. This would be great for a compost pile. Maybe if you have any animals like chickens, my chickens would love to eat these, so that's where these will go. So make sure you use your scraps in a way that is useful to the earth. Okay, so maybe maybe you can have a worm farm. I used to have a worm farm. You can Google that, and basically they turn whatever scraps of vegetables or fruits that you have into dirt that you can use in your garden or your flower bed. So something else that you can look up. Okay. So my apple pie filling is cooled down and it smells so good. So I'm going to take, a spoonful, I'm going to say like that, and just stir that up right in there. And now it is caramel apple pie filling. Oh, I love caramel. It's going to be hard not to eat. But as I said, I can't have sugar, so. But that doesn't mean everybody in my house shouldn't have the sugar. Well, they shouldn't. But you know what I mean. Everything's good for a treat. Okay. So we got that stirred up. You are going to start your frosting. So you want to take your butter and you want to make sure it is at room temperature so that when you do mix it together, it mixes smoothly. Okay? So just add your butter in there. 1 stick of butter is equal to a 1/2 cup, and that is all that you need. I like to use a 1/2 cup of shortening, vegetable shortening, and that makes it nice and fluffy, and it sets properly. Now you could make this with just the butter, or you could make this with just the shortening. It really is up to you. I think that salted butter adds just this wonderful flavor, but it doesn't set as well. So I use 1/2 and 1/2. So 1/2 cup of vegetable shortening and 1/2 cup of butter. So you're going to mix this all up with a teaspoon of vanilla and a teaspoon of almond extract. So let me get that mixed up and I'll be right back. Okay, so your butter and your shortening are nice and creamy. They're creamed together, nice and smooth. You are going to take a 32-ounce bag of 10X or confectioner's sugar. 32 ounces is 4 cups. You're going to slowly add it to the butter and shortening creamed mixture. You don't want to go fast, especially when it's mixing, because it will fly everywhere. So go very slowly. It will get very, very thick, okay? Okay, so I have my mixer on low, and I am going to slowly add this as it is mixing. Let it mix up a little bit so that it all gets combined. Sometimes it may seem like this is a little too much powdered sugar, but you'll see that once it really gets mixed in there, that it will be great. Now, the reason I use salted butter is powdered sugar can be very, very sweet. Sometimes people will take unsweetened or unsalted butter and then add some salt to their icing mixture. I prefer to just use the salted butter. I use salted butter for almost everything because I think everything needs a little bit of that savoriness to add to the sweetness. Make sure your bowl is really, really hooked in there. Lock it so it doesn't go popping up and down. And then add your 2 tablespoons of milk. Now, if it does not get thin enough for you, add a little bit more milk. If it's too thin, don't put so much milk in it. So you can see it is still stuck to the paddle. If you want it thinner than this, go ahead and add some more milk. I think this is perfect because I like it when my icing sets and doesn't run. So it's going to be very thick for you if you do that, okay? So I'm going to put this in an icing bag and I will get ready to show you how to fill the cupcakes and icing the cupcakes. Okay, so I have filled my bag, my icing bag. You can get these at AC Moore, probably Walmart, Michael's. Now, you don't have to use an icing bag. You could just use a baggie and cut the tip off. You can also add some little couplings and some icing. Oh, my brain just lost it for a second. The little metal things that make the icing go on very pretty, but you don't need to do that. Some of the big trend right now is just having a nice smooth icing on top of the cupcakes. So that's what I'm going to do. I just snipped a little bit of the edge off after I filled it, and I will use that in a second. Now, what I'm going to do with my cupcakes, you can do this many different ways. You can use a tool that they actually sell that you can just go in, turn it, and it pulls out the inside of the cupcake. I find those tools really are a little too tiny, especially for this type of filling. So what I like to do is I take a knife and I don't go the whole way through to the bottom, but I make a little circle and I pop out the inside. Now the best thing about this is that inside part can be used to make something else, which I'm going to do in my next video, and I promise the video will be there because I'm going to film it today, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that extra to make cake pops, and I will show you how to do that in the next video. Okay, so I will take this extra cupcake, put it aside, add it to all the inner cupcake holes that I pull out, okay? So I'm going to take my caramel apple pie filling and I'm just going to spoon it in there. There you go. Spoon right inside, okay? So I am going to take my bag and I like to start in the middle and go around and then go on the outside. Now, you can do this as much as you want. You can make the hole bigger if you'd like. It does not matter. So, what you could do as a garnish on this cupcake, you could add a piece of apple. You could drizzle some caramel, which is what I'm going to do. So, I'm going to take my caramel. I'm going to get a small spoon. I'm going to just stick it right just in like that and drizzle it on in any direction you want. If it's not enough caramel for you, get more. If you want a little bit of caramel, just do a little. But look, this is the cupcake that we have. And when you open it, of course, as I said, I cannot eat sugar, so I can't eat it, but I do want to show you what it looks like. So, when you pull down the cupcake paper, woo, it's soft because it's all just brand new. Inside the cupcake, you have your apple pie filling. So it's oh, I want to eat this so badly. Your apple pie filling right in the middle. It is delicious. Everybody loves it, and it is perfect for this fall season. Take it to your holiday parties, or just, have it ready for the kids when they get home from school. Something special just to bring in the apples and the fall season. Thank you so much for watching. I apologize for such a delay. I also apologize for my mind not quite being on task as it should be today. But I promise I will try to be better. Stay with us for our next videos. I am going to show you how to make cake pops, and then also take a chance and listen to our Love You a Brunch foodie podcast, where I talk to a lot of different chefs on the cookbooks that they have created. Okay? So I'm glad to have you with us, and thank you so much. And thank you all for your comments. Please hit subscribe. Please comment whether you like it or not. Please let me know. I can only get better if you tell me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time on Love You a Brunch.